Hey guys, how's it going? This is Mike from M&R Automotive. Today we have a brand new 2025 Chevy Suburban Z71 and we're installing a 40-inch curved slim light bar. You do not have to remove the grille completely in order to install this light bar. We're just going to disassemble some of the top clips and bolts, some in the fender well, and we're going to be able to prop it open and install a light bar. Super easy, follow me for instructions. So first thing we have to do, we have to remove this plastic trim piece. In order to get to it, we have to detach the handle. So it is a Torx screw. Okay, I'm going to take out these two screws and I'm going to set this aside. Now we're going to remove all the push pins that are holding the top cover. So just pry it. There's an edge here. Pry it, get the top of the push pin off, and then you can just pry it out. So we're going to go around the whole cover, removing all of them. And once all the push pins are off, we can lift up on this trim piece and get it out the way. One thing I like to do after I take out the plastic trim piece, I'm going to reinstall the latch handle, just because if the hood gets closed during your install for any reason, it's going to be very difficult to raise it if you don't have a handle. So what you do here, you slide it back in, and you don't have to do it fully, but just get some of these bolt thread in there just so it can hold. So now, if for some reason we close the hood, it's not going to be a nightmare trying to open it back up. Alright, now we're going to take out the 6 10mm bolts and put them to the side. So now we need to get to a screw that is holding the bumper and the fender pieces together. So in order to do that, we're going to take out some of these Torx screws. There's 4 Torx screws that are holding the inner liner in. I'm going to take out the 2 inner ones. So I took out the 2 inner Torx screws, and I'm going to peel the inner liner. So once you peel back the inner liner, there is a bolt here that you're going to be removing. It's hard to get the camera in here, but it's a 7mm bolt. Once you get the ratchet in there, you can get it out. So here it is, it's on the edge. So it's a 7mm head bolt, and it's going from the top down. Now that the bolt is removed, we can separate the fender from the bumper. Just grab it and peel it forward. So this is the hole is from that bolt that we removed, and these are just clips. So we can separate all this. Let's do the same thing on the passenger side. So on the passenger side, same thing. We're going to remove these 2 Torx screws. Now I'm going to peel the inner liner. And there's a screw here that we're going to remove that holds the fender to the bumper. Okay, so here's that bolt. So now we can separate the fender from the bumper. Just go ahead and grab an edge, just peel it forward, and it'll clip everything on top. And you can go around the headlight. We got the side piece. Now we can go with the grille. If you lift it up, you do have to lift it up because there's a notch here. So in order to separate it, you kind of have to lift all these panels up. And they're going to detach around here. There's a couple clips around the headlight. And let's do the same thing on this side. Go ahead and unclip the sides. It unclips here. Now we're going to lift this up just to get it over these tabs. That kind of like unlocks it. And this comes off a couple clips here too. And this is all you need in order to install a light bar, because we're going to be using factory bolts here, and it's going to sit right on top. Makes it super easy to install. Alright, so now it's time to install the light bar. Let me show you what's included with the M&R kit. First, you get the light bar. It's a slim curved design, so it'll go nice with the grille. So we have the driver's side and the passenger side bracket, and we're going to install it using factory bolts. We're going to use this bolt here on top, and we're going to use this bolt here on top as well. So we're going to go ahead and remove this 10mm bolt. Now I'm going to take the factory bolt, I'm going to slide it through the M&R bracket. Notice there's a like an oval shape. That's the one we're going to use for this bolt. This is going to go for the light bar. So we're going to slide the bolt through it, and we're going to rethread it. So I'm only going to finger tighten it. I'm not going to tighten it all the way. I do this bolt last after we do the bracket and the light bar right through it. So you can see the light bar bracket is still loose, and we're going to leave it like that. So we're going to do the same thing on the passenger side. It's the top outer bolt. So same thing, we're going to remove this bolt, thread this through the oval part on the bracket, and we're going to rethread it back in. Same thing on this side. We're not going to tighten it all the way. So you can see there's still adjustment. Now we can install the light bar onto this bracket. So now it's time to install the light bar. So notice that the wiring on the light bar is going to come out on the passenger side of the vehicle, because this is where our battery is, and that's where we're going to mount the wireless harness. Alright, so now we can install the light bar onto the bracket. I use the provided hardware. Adjustability here on the slot as well of how high you want it to fit with the opening of the grill. So I'm just going to finger tighten it, and then let's do the same thing on the opposite side. So now same thing on the passenger side. Let's go ahead and thread this bolt. Tighten this bolt, see how the alignment is with the grill. We can also make adjustments if necessary. So before we tighten these top bolts from the bracket, we're going to go ahead and mock up the opening just to make sure we got it correct in the alignment of the height of the light bar. So this is going to be the alignment that we're going to go with. I'm pretty happy with that, so we can go ahead and tighten the top 2 bolts. So now I'm going to go ahead and tighten these 2 bolts, and that's going to actually bring this bracket closer to the vehicle. It's going to be easier to slip on that grill. So now it's time for wiring. So today we're going to be using a wireless wiring harness 2.0 from M&R. I want to show you exactly what comes in this kit and how to assemble it. So you do get a remote, you get the actual harness, some zip ties for mounting it. So you get a power wire, you get another power wire, there's going to be a fuse in the middle, you get a ground wire, and there's an ACC fuse tap, which we're actually not going to use in this case. We also have a fuse box, and there's some terminals and a fuse. There's a 100 amp fuse that we're going to install inside the fuse box. Alright, so let's go ahead and take apart the fuse box. I'm going to show you how to mount it. We're going to tape the top bolts off, take the washer out. Okay, we're going to go ahead and install the fuse, and we're going to install the power wire terminals, and one on each side. And what we can do, we can put these washers back and tighten these nuts. Get a washer. So I'm going to go ahead and tighten it. Excellent. So now what we have a power wire that's going to go from the battery to our control module, and we have a 100 amp inline fuse. So we can close this up, and let's connect the power and the ground to the module. So let's go ahead and open up the module. We're going to go ahead and take out the Allen screws. There's 4, 1 on each side. And let's go ahead and see what's inside. So we have a terminal here. This is what we're going to connect our power wire. That's the red wire. And we have a terminal here, which is the ground. That's going to be this black one too. So let me show you how to connect it. I'm going to loosen this bolt. I'm going to go ahead and thread this under, because once the cover is, this is the only opening that you get. So we're going to slide it in and tighten the screw. So I want to show you there's a BAT plus, that's the positive, and there's a BAT minus, that's the ground. We're going to do the same thing for the ground. So this is our ground. I'm going to slide this ground wire here. So now we're ready to install this module onto the battery. So now we're in the engine bay. I can take off this cover to get access to the battery. So first let's go ahead and get a positive for our control module. So we're going to use this as our power supply. It's a 13mm nut that we're going to loosen. We're going to go ahead and slide this terminal underneath that nut, and we're going to go ahead and tighten it. So now we can put this cover back on, since we already have the positive. This leaves us with connecting the ground. So we can get it off the negative battery terminal. It's a 10mm. So one thing I want to point out, when you do connect the ground, you're going to have a little green light that flashes. That means that the system is getting power. See, it turned on here. So now we can connect our light bar wires to the module. So the light bar that we're installing today, it's white with amber DRL, so it actually has 2 positive wires. It has a ground, it has a red wire, which is the positive for the white light, and it has a white wire, which is the positive for the amber DRL. So we're going to use 2 circuits out of the 8 on this module to provide power to these 2 wires. If you have a single function light bar, white or amber, your light bar is going to come without this white wire, so you're just going to get the ground and a positive for that light bar. So we ran our wiring on the passenger side coming out on the corner of this grill, but you do get about 7 or 8 feet of wire, so I'm going to go ahead and trim it. You don't need all of it. So because our distribution box is going to be somewhere here, I can probably cut all this wire off. So now I'm going to take off the sheathing. And strip these wires to connect them to the power distribution box. So I'm going to get the ground away from the powers. Let me go ahead and actually cut this off. So first we're going to connect the 2 power wires. So I'm going to go ahead and bring them inside from underneath. So we're going to do switch number 1 for the white function of our light bar. I'm going to slide the wire in there and secure the terminal by getting the screw in. And then on our remote, we're going to choose switch number 5 to be our amber DRL. I'm going to go ahead and tighten it. And the last thing we have to do is ground the light bar. So now that I have a black wire, I'm going to go ahead and put an eyelet on it. I'm going to crimp a connector. And then we can actually use the same terminal we did to ground our power distribution box. I'm going to remove this nut, slide this eyelet over it, and reinstall it. So remove the nut, I slide the eyelet terminal, and I'm going to reinstall that nut. So now to summarize, we connected the module, positive and negative, to the battery. We connected 2 power wires from the light bar to the module, and we grounded one of the grounds from the light bar. Now we can go ahead and test it to make sure everything's wired properly. So let's go ahead and test it out. Switch number 1, that's going to be our powerful white light, and switch number 5, that's going to be the amber DRL. Amber DRL is more of a backglow feature. It stands for daytime running lights, and it doesn't blind oncoming traffic. You could definitely drive around town with this, and with the hit of a switch, it turns into powerful white light. Let's go ahead and secure the wireless harness and go for a ride. So one question that I get is, where do you secure this module? Typically, there's 2 ways of securing it. Number 1, you can make it stationary by using zip ties. They do have 2 eyelets here, and zip ties are provided. And I'm actually going to secure it to this metal plate that secures the battery to the vehicle. There's another way. There's 2 little holes here. You can drill from the inside, 1, 2, into like a cover like this and secure it with screws. So it's easier to actually use a zip tie, so I'm going to show you how to do that. So this is the first zip tie. So on this end, I'm going to go ahead, there's a metal brace here on top of the battery. I'm going to go ahead and go under it, around it. And on this side, same thing, we're going to go under the plate, bring it around, and then we'll tighten both sides. Let's go ahead and put the cover on. Great, let me show you the light bar again, and we'll go on an adventure. And once again, for the final install, powerful white light, amber DRL. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and learned something. Hope you got all the confidence you need to install this product yourself, and I know you guys are going to love the product.